Alright, so in this example, we're going to see if we can calculate the composition of trig functions. Here we have the inverse sine of the sine of 4 pi over 7. Remember that the inverse sine equals to some angle theta. And at this point, I'm going to bring the inverse sine over to the other side. And so what that's going to give me is sine of 4 pi over 7 equals to sine of theta. And so we can see that theta would be 4 pi over 7 if 4 pi over 7 is within the range of acceptable values for the inverse sine function. So we're going to recall that inverse sine angles have to be between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. And it turns out that 4 pi over 7 is not in this range. 4 pi over 7 is actually going to be a little ways into the second quadrant. So we're going to go to the unit circle and see if we can figure this out. Alright, so in our unit circle, we said that 4 pi over 7 is going to be somewhere in the second quadrant. So this is going to be 4 pi over 7. And so we know that if I go all the way around, that's going to be a pi. So if this much is 4 pi over 7, then this amount here has to be 3 pi over 7, because 4 plus 3 is 7 pi over 7, which is a pi. Okay, so knowing that the inverse sine is restricted to either the first or fourth quadrant, and knowing that sine of 4 pi over 7, since it's in the second quadrant, will be positive, that means that our angle cannot be in the fourth quadrant because sine is negative there. And so sine is going to have to, the angle is going to have to be in the first quadrant. And if this much here is 3 pi over 7, then this is going to have to be symmetric. And so this is also going to have to be 3 pi over 7. And so that gives us the answer for theta has to be 3 pi over 7, because it's going to give us an equivalent value to sine of 4 pi over 7. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comments below. And thanks for watching.